Okay, it's that time of year again where we preview the World Club Challenge. Now, this year it's between the Wigan Warriors and the Penrith Panthers. Now, the Wigan Warriors, fresh off winning the Super League Grand Final at the end of last season. The Penrith Panthers, they've just won their third NRL Grand Final in a row and have just appeared in their fourth Grand Final in a row. So this Penrith side is one of the most dominant sides in Australian rugby league history. Apart from Parramatta in the 80s and the St George Dragons in the 50s and the 60s, we haven't seen this for a very, very long time. This Penrith side is a machine. However, they've yet to win a World Club Challenge. They never have. And that includes they had a very strong side in the early 90s, couldn't win a World Club Challenge. The 2003 side that won that NRL Grand Final, they weren't expected to win that Grand Final, not by a long shot. They were outsiders going into that final series. They pulled it off. So it wasn't that one makes a bit of sense. But their defeat last year to St Helens surprised some. But if you actually look at their record in wet weather conditions in the last couple of years, it's not great. They did not win a single game in the rain last year. And of course, they lost that game in the rain against St Helens at home in Penrith at Panthers Stadium in Western Sydney. It was a close game, but they still lost at a stadium they don't lose very often at. In fact, their win percentage is well in the high 80s%. They do not lose very often. So it's going to be an interesting one. Can they get that hoodoo, that jinx off their backs and actually win a World Club Challenge? But before we delve into previewing certain aspects of this, I think most of it does depend on what Penrith team turns up, how match ready they are, because the Super League season's already started by this point, and how they absorb the losses of Spencer Leniu in the forward pack, and especially Stephen Crichton in the outside backs in that left centre channel. That is a massive, massive loss. He's moved on, obviously. And of course, what frame of mind and how fit is Jerome Luai? Obviously, Jerome Luai has secured his move to the West Tigers for the 2025 season. However, we've still got a couple of months before the NRL season starts. The West Tigers could also secure him to an early release from his contract. So he may, we don't know if Jerome Luai is even going to be a Penrith Panther by the time of this match in 5.5, 6 weeks' time. He could have already gone to the West Tigers early. We'll have to see how that plays out. If he does play for Penrith, how good is his shoulder, because he's had to have a shoulder surgery in the off-season. He obviously went off injured in the grand final. And what frame of mind is he in, with considering all the media noise and all the social media noise about him leaving the Panthers and going to the Tigers? How focused is he going to be? But we'll talk about that later. So the match takes place on the 24th of February at the DW Stadium. Now, the broadcast is Sky Sports. Obviously, you've got Channel 9 and Fox in Australia. They've got their broadcast rights. And then you've got the BBC. Now, the BBC have stepped up where Channel 4 have pulled out. Channel 4 had the broadcast rights for the Super League, which also included the World Club Challenge, for the last couple of seasons. They broadcast last year's World Club Challenge. The BBC is now the free-to-air broadcaster of note going forward. Now, there'll be those that are happy with that. No ad content, no adverts during the broadcast. There are those that were really sad to see Channel 4 go. They really did praise Channel 4's coverage in the last couple of seasons. So we'll have to see what the viewership figures are like here in the UK. Rugby League has been in a little bit of a decline with fans in attendance at things like the Challenge Cup Grand Final, TV viewership, etc. So this will be very interesting as a barometer to see if there's a lot of interest from a domestic TV audience, especially in non-traditional locations in the UK. Where I am is a non-traditional location, even though I'm in the catchment area for the London Broncos, and I am a Broncos fan. It's going to be interesting to see how those viewership figures pan out when they are released by Ofcom and the BBC. So, 24th of February. Now, you notice I'm wearing one of my beanie hats. It's bloody cold at the moment. We've got a weather warning in this part of the UK next week for heavy snow and sub-zero temperatures, and I'm not joking on that. The weather's probably very likely to be quite similar come the 24th of February. In fact, you're more likely to get snow in February than in January, ironically, when it comes to the UK and how the weather systems off the Atlantic and the Baltic and the North Sea and the Arctic all meet. You're more likely to get snow. Now, as I said, Penrith do not have a great record in wet conditions in the last couple of seasons. That appears to be their Achilles heel, is bad weather. St Helens last year, it was basically like a cold, blustery night on Merseyside. Even though the temperature was about 30 degrees, it hammered down, and there was a massive thunderstorm, and it hammered down, and Penrith lost. And every regular season loss they had last year was in the rain. They did not win in the rain last year. I don't even think in the 2022 season they had a good record in wet conditions either. So Penrith do struggle when it rains. Now, if the game stays dry, it will be cold. But if it stays dry, Penrith, I think the advantage goes to Penrith. If it does rain or snow, the advantage is fully in Wigan's corner. Ticket sales have already been fantastic. I believe Wigan may have sold out their allocation already. Um, It'd be interesting to see how many Australian fans and how many NRL fans in general from the UK and Australia, obviously, are supporting the Penrith Panthers or just going to the game as neutrals. But Wigan's ticket allocation, I believe, has already been sold for this game. There obviously, as I mentioned, those squad changes. Spencer Leniu is not. He is a big loss. He's a key forward. He's obviously gone to the I believe it's the Roosters. But Stephen Crichton, possibly the best all-round outside back in the league. He has moved on to the Canterbury Bulldogs. That's a massive loss because not only is he great on either side of the field as a centre, he can play on the wings, he can play at fullback, and he can play in the halves. He can cover all of the backline positions, and he's got a great one-on-one tackle technique. He's great on the intercept. He's great defensively, and he can also goal kick. He can do a bit of everything. He can drop goals. His performances at the World Cup a couple of years ago are fantastic. That drop goal against England, for example, in the dying seconds of the game, that was his first ever drop goal as a senior professional, by the way. He can perform under pressure. He has scored in the last 4 consecutive grand finals, which is a record I don't think has been had since Parramatta or St George. We're going back 40 to 60 years. He has scored in the last 4 consecutive grand finals. That is ridiculous. As I say, he's a good barometer for the team. He does take a lot of pressure off the halves, and the rest of the backline and the forward pack because he will do the hard yards. He will take the ball up into contact at key points in the game. Now, also, as I mentioned, Jerome Luai, what headspace is he going to be in? Is he fully fit with that shoulder injury? Yes, he has had off-season shoulder surgery. That could be a key component because I can see Wigan going down his defensive channel and testing him out. Maybe in the first set, maybe in the second set, they're going to give the ball to a big burly prop who's just going to run at him and run at that weak shoulder, which is his left shoulder. They're going to run at him, and they're going to test him out. Now, if they put Luai under excessive pressure, that puts even more pressure on Cleary. Now, they are missing Crichton. They're missing that kicking option. So, a lot more focus is going to be on Nathan Cleary. Now, that grand final against Brisbane, Nathan Cleary took it on his shoulders. I mean, Cogger did help, but Cogger's not there. So, it's going to be interesting to see if Luai is fully fit and what headspace he's in with all that noise about his move to the West Tigers for next season, not this season, next season. The Tigers might get an early release clause yet, so he may not even play in this game. That'll be key. It's going to be interesting to see what happens there. I can see Wigan just going at Luai defensively. They're going to target that left centre channel where Stephen Crichton would have been last year when St Helens played in the World Cup Challenge. The weather conditions. If it does stay dry, Penrith will be favourites. However, looking at the time of year, looking at the weather right now, the chances of it being nice, pleasant, sunny, late winter's day, pretty low. And in fact, at that time of winter, you're more likely to get snow and rain and sleet. So I do think this is going to be a very, very close game. A lot can happen between now and the 24th of February. There could be injuries in training. Wigan obviously play a couple of Super League games before the World Club Challenge. So they actually are going to be playing games in anger at full pace before we even get to the World Club Challenge. So Wigan could pick up some injuries and suspensions before the World Club Challenge. And of course, Penrith, how match ready are they going to be? They're going to be match ready, but how match ready? How has their pre-season gone? How have they scheduled this match into their pre-season planning? Now, 24th of February, the NRL season doesn't start till the 2nd of March, and that's the doubleheader in Vegas. Now, I believe the NRL are going to do a staggered first round, where the Vegas doubleheader takes place on the 2nd, and then the following week is the rest of the first round, plus that first bye round for whatever team has the bye. So, it's going to be interesting. Penrith, bad conditions, don't do very well. And that is a very interesting, issue they have is when it rains or snows, they don't win. Also, they've never won a World Club Challenge, which is very, very surprising considering the dominance of Australian sides in the World Club Challenge historically. You look at the majority of winners, they are Australian. yes, English sides like Wigan have won the World Club Challenge, like St Helens have won the World Club Challenge, but the percentage I think is 3/4 of winners are from the NRL and the rest are from Super League. So we'll see what happens. But there we go. There's a little preview. Look to Luai's channel. Look to where Stephen Crichton would have played had he stayed a Penrith Panther. That left-hand side of the field is going to be targeted by Wigan in that centre channel and Luai's defensive position on the left-hand side. I think we're going to go down that route from the first set of possession they have. They're going to clearly just make Luai tackle and tackle and tackle, and they're going to test out that shoulder, see how fit he is, which could put even more pressure on Cleary. But Cleary's proven that, hey, he's a man for the big occasion. Look at the grand final. Look what he's done in State of Origin when New South Wales have won. He's proven he can perform under pressure, so we'll see how it plays out. I think it's going to be a very, very even game. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be as close as it was last year between Penrith and St Helens. I wouldn't be surprised for a Wigan win, however. I don't think Penrith are outstanding favourites, but you look at Penrith's recent record in general and how just dominant they've been in a far harder league to be, consecutively dominant with all these grand final appearances and wins. Wigan, St Helens have been the dominant side for the last decade. Wigan are not the team that they were in the 90s. This was like a time machine, and you get that Wigan formula from the 90s. Ooh, then Wigan would be pretty solid favourites. But I think this is going to be a very close game. Weather conditions are going to have a lot to play in the outcome. And what Penrith lineup do we have? Because I do think there's going to be players who get injured in pre-season training. Wigan are going to have, obviously, a couple of regular season games before this. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. The weather's going to have a part to play in it. But for me, for now, thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll have some more content for you very, very soon.